Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going through another one of our lead code questions. This one is actually a premium questions and I do not have premium. So for that reason, I have copied and pasted the question in CoderPad, and we can basically simulate the real world interview environment and assume that we wouldn't be able to run our code. So this is very similar to how Meta and Google ask their questions in the actual technical interview. It's very similar to basically a whiteboarding session. All right, so let's read our question. It's called group shifted strings. We are given a list of strings and we can perform the following shift operations: right shift and left shift. In right shift, every letter every letter in the string will be replaced with a successive letter. For example, ABC will turn into BCD and XYZ will turn into YZA. So obviously there is a wraparound. And same thing for left shift is that ABC would be shifted leftwards into YZA or XYZ, right? So you can keep shifting the string in any direction and basically form endless sequence, right? So ABC can go through ABC, BCD, XYZ, YZA, and then back into ZAB, and then back into ABC. So now, because we are given an array of strings, they are all, we need to group them all together if they all belong to the same shifting sequence. For example, A and Z, right? A can be turned into Z and Z can be turned into A. So they belong to the same shifting sequence. Similarly, AZ and BA. AZ, after shifting it right, would become BA, right? So the idea is basically that for each of these strings, um, for example, let's say the combination of this string with that string, right? We need to calculate the difference, right? So BCD minus ABC. Let's try doing that. So B, C, D, right? And so B minus C is 1, C minus D is 1. Similarly, for ABC, B minus A is 1, C minus B is 1 as well. So that means they all belong to the same sequence. A and Z, they are all just by themselves. So obviously they belong together. And ACEF is, so C minus A would be 2. Then E minus would be 2. And then F is 1. None of the other strings follow this particular pattern. So we do not save it. All right. Now, how do we calculate it? There's a simpler way to do this, and I'm not sure if that's a correct way. But basically, the idea is we can go through each of these particular characters one by one, calculate the difference for each character, turn the difference into a string. And since string is immutable, it can be hashed. So we can basically save the string in a hash. And if we ever see that hash again, we know we need to combine them, right? All right, so I guess let's get started. So like we discussed, we are just going to get the characters. So for S in strings, this is our string, and then for C in S. Now we will have access to each of these. All right, I'm not actually going to use a for loop. I'm going to use a simpler loop, a simpler while loop. So I'm going to start at I equals 0, and while I is less than length of s minus 1. Why minus 1? Because we are doing element-wise comparison, right? So the diff is going to be, what's the diff going to be? S of I plus 1 minus S of I. Now, the negatives or the positives, do they make sense? So let's see. So imagine I have ABC and I have Z, A, B. Could this be turned into this? So B minus A is 1. Yeah, B minus A is 1. Would AZ be able to transform into AB ever? It would not. So the sign matters, right? Okay, so we are gonna take the sign. So we have the diff. Now we need to have a res string builder. Diff string builder, just going to be this, and we are gonna append our diff to it. At this point, we can convert our diff, which is an integer, into a string. All right, so once we have processed this particular word, right, we have processed our word. Now what we're going to do is have a dict to map our strings. So dict string is just the join on the string builder, and now we can check that if diff string is in dict, then dict dot diff string dot append, and now this is going to be our particular string, right? Else we will start this whole procedure. And there we go. That is all. And now this will run for all of the elements. And once we have that, we can just query through the dictionary for kv in dict.items and have a res here. This is for our output. So res dot append v. And then in the end, we will just return res. All right, let's do a dry run through this solution with our input string. All right, so I have initialized text to be an empty dictionary. So for each of the s's in the input string strings, I'm starting a string builder, and then I am looping through each of the pairwise elements. So for example, in the string ABC, I'm calculating B minus A is 1. and then I'm adding it here. So now this is 1, and then C minus B is 1 again. So that is 1 again. Okay. Okay, so this is 1, and then I go to the next one. C minus B is 1 again, and then the diff string here is 1, 1. Right, so then the dict would be for key 1, 1. What do I have inside so far is ABC, right? And then B, C, D, same thing. C minus B is 1, D minus C is 1. So it's 1, 1 again. And then I am going to be appending B, C, D to it. And then A, C, E, F, as we discussed earlier. C minus A would be 2, I believe. And then 2 again, and then 1 here. Right, so the def string is there. I have created a new entry in the dictionary, and now the S here is going to be ASAF. And after that, you have XYZ, Y minus X is 1, Z minus Y is 1, which is 1, 1. So we will just add XYZ here, and then AZ. Z minus A is 1. BA. All right, so I realized that over here, I do need some other value, right? So we can safely put 28 here because we have 26 letters. To be safe, no two letters would ever have a difference of 28, right? And this is for the case where this while loop doesn't execute, which means it's the case of either like a single letter. Okay. All right, so where were we? So we did XYZ, AZ is 1. So here, AZ would be here, then BA, sorry, AZ, Z minus A. I forgot the most important part, it's the ordinal. Z minus A. (26 minus 1, 25). Okay, so 25 mod 26. I'm not really sure how do we do wraparound, so I am going to look that up right now, right? Okay, so Z is 26 minus 1, 25. And A is 1 minus 2 equals minus 1. Um, okay, so if diff is less than 0, in that case, what do we want to do is diff plus equals 26. So this will kind of wrap it around. And here, then I want to put like a delimiter in between. Just so we don't run into any issues. Okay, so I am my string builder now. What it looks like is this, which is fine as long as we we keep that in mind in all the comparisons. Okay, so AZ is going to be 25, right? And then because of this addition, what else is happening is when I have -1 in case of BA, it is negative. So what do? I add the diff to, like, it's -1 plus 26, it will become 25. So in that case, I'm also gonna have BA here. Now the case of the single digits. I'm starting with I equals 0, right? And length of S is 1. So that means this condition never runs, right? So once that happens, I'm just appending the string 28 to it. Why? Because we'll never have a difference of 28. So this is reserved for single digits. And keep in mind, all single digits can be transformed into other single digits, right? Because it's just like a linear walk. So what happens here is we will append 28 here, and then 28 becomes A, and then afterwards it's Z. All right, so now I have these little subgroups, and the only thing I need to do is append them to my res, and that is the end of my result. So let's talk about complexity now. We are going through all the characters in this string. So, so the complexity is going to be big O of n, where n stands for all chars, where n stands for num of chars across the input string. And what are we saving? We are basically saving the same thing in our dictionary as well. The dictionary will grow linearly with the input, as well as our res would grow linearly. So for space, it is also S of n S of O(n). Because asymptomatically, this is going to be 2O(n), which is basically O(n). And that is our solution. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a different format a little bit, but practicing in something like this with just a simple, with just a simple, with just a simple editor without any running capability is really important.